Today I'd like to talk about the unending, eternal, and forever moving figure 8 conveyor belt of awakening. So what in the world do I mean by that? Well, we've all experienced beautiful openings that feel like they're taking us up and out into the transcendent realms, the higher dimensional aspects of beingness, of existence. And we've all experienced the light, the bliss, the expansion that comes from those higher or upper openings. But then, inevitably, none of us has managed to stay there, because that's not the way the figure 8 conveyor belt of awakening operates. So we're there for a while, and the mind may think, I've got it. I'm here now forever. There's never going to be any more dips into any of the other stuff that it lives down below in us. But inevitably, we are all carried down and in. After the experiences of going up and out, we are always and inevitably carried down and in to those deepest, darkest places in our psyche that are waiting to receive all the light, all the awareness, all the awakened energy that we were blessed to receive in our upward journeys. Now, all of that light wants to come down and be embodied, grounded, and incorporated within our beingness on all levels, so that we can function here as a truly multidimensional, fully awake on all levels of being presence on the planet. And so our high light experiences are almost always followed by deep descents, not necessarily into the dark night of the soul or the dark night of the spirit that so many have written and taught about, but into the places within us that have not yet experienced that light. They haven't experienced being brought into the fold of love and forgiveness and acceptance. All the places within us that have been waiting until we were ready to face them are going to emerge. That's part of the journey of awakening. And so we go down and in. And to the degree that we don't resist that process or make it wrong, which is the way the mind often deals with these immersions, we can be with whatever arises, and we can participate in the journey of bringing it all into consciousness and bringing it all into our hearts. And then, to the degree that we haven't obstructed the process, we haven't tried to stop it or dam it up or distract ourselves from what's there, we find ourselves naturally and inevitably riding the conveyor belt back up and out again. And so it goes. If we don't get in the way, the conveyor belt of awakening is like a beautiful figure 8 that carries us up and out, then down and in, then back up and out. And the cycles and the duration of each part of the cycle are determined by our inner wisdom, the wisdom of the soul that we are. And that's another reason why Barry and I, think it's so important to give our awakening journey over to the soul that we truly are, to let our true eternal self modulate the process. Let it be in the driver's seat. Let it orchestrate the way the process unfolds, and let all the parts of the process be given their rightful places and their rightful emphases as the soul guides. That way we're not clinging to any particular aspect of the process, and the mind isn't convincing us that, yes, this should be the only part of awakening. And for most of us, it's going to sound like a voice that says, but we should be able to stay in this up and out part of the journey forever. We shouldn't have to take these deep descents. We should be able to, if we just do enough things that help us stay up here, be able to completely override all that and never have to deal with it again. But as a lot of us are discovering, this can turn into spiritual bypassing. It can turn into the minds convincing us that There are other ways to do this, that you do not have to go there. No, you really don't have to bring consciousness to that deep, dark material within you. No, you don't really have to love your inner child into wholeness. You don't even have to admit that it's there. And you don't have to deal with the traumatic experiences of your past. If you have enough light experiences, all of that will just be subsumed in that great light. As much as we would love for that to be the case at times, because yes, facing all that stuff can be very painful and requires a lot of us in terms of inner work and ability to simply be with ourselves no matter what's going on, we have never found that it's true. We've never found it to be the case that doing enough highlight work takes away the need for dealing with the material that lives in our depths. We have never found that going further and further and further into the light takes away all necessity of dealing with the shadows. What we have found over time, and what has become so true for us, is that we don't anymore look at any part of the journey as less desirable, less important, less of anything than any other part of the journey. In other words, we don't really have preferences the way we used to when we were, first starting out on this journey of awakening. We don't really prefer going up versus going down. We just accept that all of it must be part of the process, or it would not be here in our awareness. And we've also learned through lots and lots of experience that every immersion into the shadow realms at our depths is followed by an ascent out of those realms of pain and suffering, out of the places within us that are holding all of the unhealed, incomplete material that arises from time to time and can give us a lot of emotional challenges. And that ascent happens as more and more consciousness, more and more light, more and more of infinite intelligence and wisdom is brought into all of those pockets within us where it hasn't lived until now. So when we're able to meet everything fully with all of ourselves, we really do emerge from the experience wiser, more complete, more aware, more able to forgive, more able to wrap unconditional love around everything within us, everything that's happened, every inner child that we once were, all of it. What we see in our work with people and in our own journeys of awakening is that this entire process of ascent and descent, this entire cycle that includes both of those primary aspects, is shortening now. So cycles that used to take months or years or even decades to completely traverse the whole figure eight band can now take place within a particular session. We're amazed by it. The level of grace that's pouring through now is exponentially greater than it ever was in the past. And I think that's only going to continue as the energies on the planet continue to go up and more of us experience awakening. The field that's there to support everyone in the continuing process of awakening is that much sturdier. So it's often happening now that people dive into the very deepest depths of their suffering during the beginning and middle parts of a session, and at the end of a session, just spontaneously, all by itself, without any prompting from us, people are lifted into exalted states of divine communion, of wisdom, of seeing the place, the way that all of it fit into their overall evolutionary journey as a soul. And often people are just suffused with light and ecstasy and sublime energies. And this really seems to be enhanced by each person's ability and willingness to go wherever the soul takes them. The less resistance there is, the more willingness there is to just face what needs to be faced, because here it is in front of me, the more those incredible breakthroughs of grace can happen. So when we are able to say yes to everything that's emerging, everything that is in front of us, everything that is front and center in our consciousness, we are completely enabling the figure eight conveyor belt of awakening to carry us wherever we need to go next. When we say no to something that's trying to emerge into consciousness, when we are afraid of it, when we don't think we need to go there, when we don't think we should go there, when we think a person like us shouldn't have to go there, or whatever is going on around it in the mind, that slows down or even stops the conveyor belt of awakening from carrying us in its inexorable path. When we say to ourselves, well, I've already dealt with this, I should be beyond it, it should be behind me, I've done so much work on this issue, there can be a refusal to admit that, well, maybe there's another layer here, because this seems to be what's front and center right now in your awareness, and it's not there by accident, and it's not there because there is some mistake. It's there because it's really wanting and needing some attention, some love, some acceptance, some allowance from you. So the more willingly we can make the descent, the more willingly life, the soul, the divine, helps us to make the ascent. And over 35 or 36 years of facilitating sessions and groups with people, we've learned that the figure eight of awakening does not stop unless there's something there that needs to be dealt with. Otherwise, it will just gently and effortlessly carry us wherever we need to go next, and we can trust that, because it is modulated and orchestrated by the soul that we each are. And there is no greater expert on what we need to face next, what we need to embrace next or experience next in our journey of awakening that spans lifetime after lifetime. So every bit of this journey is self-reinforcing, because the more we immerse in the soul space, the soul lotus, the more we allow our energy and attention to rest there, the more we turn our life journey and our awakening journey over to that, and then it can more effortlessly carry us up, down, in, out, as needed and as appropriate at every stage of our awakening. The more we rest in the soul, the more we know that the soul is who we really are, and give our lives to that, and take the reins of control away from the mind and give them to the soul, the more we can trust that everything will be right on course at every moment of our journey. Because how could it be otherwise? If the soul is the spark of the divine within us, then the soul has access to limitless intelligence, limitless power, limitless love. And all of that is what carries us on our journey. And all of that is what makes the incredible healings that happen all along the way able to take place. We love nothing more than to watch people realize the limitations of mind and turn their lives, their awakenings, their relationships, their careers, their everything over to the soul that they are. Then they're accessing that limitless, eternal intelligence, power, truth, love, everything that they need to experience everything possible in this lifetime, and more than we ever dreamed was possible. And a corollary to that is the realization that we are not doing our lives, we are not doing our journey of awakening, we are not determining when we have our up and out high light experiences and when we make the deep dives. They simply happen as they're ready to happen. We don't really have any control over that. And as the mind takes its sticky fingers off the controls, we can really feel ourselves surrendering into the greater wisdom, the greater everything of the soul, which is the spark of divinity within the core of our beings. So I'd love to hear your comments about this. And, if you make a comment in the comment section below, I will do my best to respond to all of them. I'd love to hear how you've experienced the conveyor belt of awakening operating in your own journey, and whether you've experienced that sense of the figure eight, first carrying you down and in, then carrying you up and out, then down and in again, and in that eternal dance. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you and wish you well along your journey. Love and blessings. Namaste.